Chappell Roan recently had a bunch of supposed fans ripping her to shreds for the fact that she was publicly trying to set boundaries, but the way that she did it though, ugh, disgusting, so entitled. We do not care that you are scared and this is coming from a place of fear. You need to get put in your place. Icky. Simone Biles got accused of letting her entire country down in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics as she left due to extreme mental health issues for her own safety. But she got called a quitter by everybody, not just by misogynists with a news platform.
What happened to fighting through injury? What happened to working through stuff you didn't really want to do?
But by the public online constantly. Her supposed fans completely turned against her.
You're self-proclaiming yourself as the greatest of all time. LMAO.
In March of this year, K-pop star Karina had to apologize to her fans for the fact that she was dating someone, Lee Jae-woo. Some of her fans saw this as a betrayal, with some fans even driving a van to her agency with this electronic billboard that said, "Is the love given to you by your fans not enough?" And surprise, surprise, Karina and Lee Jae-woo actually broke up shortly after this happened. It couldn't have anything to do with the fact that people were, threatening to ruin her career and never support her ever again for the fact that she betrayed them so badly. I pointed out in this video here how people were doubting Jake Weddle's authenticity for the fact that he came forward with his experience and his trauma because of the fact that he wasn't acting right. There was something a little bit off about him, so people were doubting him and his sincerity. And I'm sure that you've dealt with this too, where people have this projected image of what is acceptable in their mind, and then if you don't live up to that perfectly, people judge you, they berate you, they potentially even dump you and leave you for the fact that you're not 100% perfect, like this wonderful doll-like facade, and you're just happy to do whatever they want, whether this be in a customer service role, a regular job, a friendship, a relationship, whatever it may be. Having a bad day, maybe in a bad mood, maybe you just don't feel very social, maybe you're just not on all the time and ready to please everybody around you. Ooh. We don't like that. You're meant to be always reachable, always happy to help, always with a smile on your face, and never ever say the wrong thing. You need to be aware of your personal brand after all, and people can ruin your life for not being what they want you to be. As Rachel K. Albers writes, "A brand does not belong to itself, brands belong to their customers. Brands answer to sales, people answer to themselves. Put them together and you've got a world of people shaping ourselves around what sells." You may not even be consciously aware that you're doing this, but every interaction you have, whether it's online or in real life, is all around managing your personal brand, and you are always aware of the potential implications. It's not just having an online footprint, because the thing is, if you go out into the real world to deal with real life people, people film people without their consent these days. And no, I'm not on about people that are filming police people that are doing wrong things, because I fully agree with that. I'm on about regular, degular, everyday stuff that you're doing. If you're not always on and fully prepared to be on camera and have this self-awareness around you, like you're watching yourself from the outside, you could actually ruin your entire brand. And you have to be extra careful with your personal brand these days, because AI just keeps getting better and better, aka worse and worse in my books. And people can and have used AI to make it look like others are doing something bad. And this is how rumors are spread, but I mean, who's going to believe you if you don't have a good personal brand? They'll believe the rumors instead, especially if they already don't like you, because what reason do they have to not believe these rumors? There's video, there's audio, there's a photo. And this significantly gets used against women more often, as I've talked about here, because we're living in hell, apparently. Being known as the right for you is also a security issue. I've been a victim of fraud before. I got caught out by the toll scam, where a company poses as the official transport agency. They've mimicked the entire website perfectly, and they say that you owe them money for a toll road, one which I'd actually recently driven on. So I clicked and paid, and boom, there's my credit card out and about, and I was left panicking, calling my bank, and losing money as the fraud was happening. I was able to retrieve my funds, but so many are not that lucky. And it's not just fraud that we have to worry about, it's those constant irritations because companies keep on selling your data to data brokers. We already get so many notifications all the time. I don't want to get inundated with more from dodgy people who know too much about me, like my address. And that's where Aura comes in, the sponsor of today's video. Aura alerts me if they find my email address, social security number, or phone number on the dark web. And if anybody tries to use my bank account, they let me know quick smart. This is an especially huge issue in the USA, where I know most of you are from, where over 2.9 billion records were stolen from national public data, which offers personal information to employers, private investigators, staffing agencies, and others doing background checks. So click my link, aura.com/BrionyClaire, in the pinned comment or description box down below, so you can get a 14-day free trial with Aura. Thanks Aura for sponsoring today's video.
It's time to market yourself like a product.
Hate to break it to you, but you're a brand whether you like it or not. The article in 1997 written by Tom Peters called The Brand Called You is the one that actually originated the phrase personal brand. Thank you, Tom.
I can be that guy. I'll step up and go down.
We're expected to swoon? I don't think so.
And the thing is, this is not just on LinkedIn where you kind of expect brown nosing to happen all the time and like people be humble bragging all the time because that's just the environment over there. This happens literally everywhere. Lena Norms recently came up with this amazing video about how boyfriends are like brands these days. And this reminds me how men were traditionally the ones to actually control everything their woman did, you know, whatever they said, whatever they looked like, however they acted, you know, in order to be able to keep up the facade because the woman was the brand of the man. It's switched around so quickly these days that how a man treats you is a reflection on you. And it's like, that was a quick slide into victim blaming. Wowza. And would you look at that, the blame falls onto who? The woman, not the man that's actually doing the bad things. It's the woman's fault, silly. Didn't you know that? And as I've pointed out through a myriad of my videos, women are actually the ones that are meant to be the trainers of men. The thing is that the buck stops with us. Ugh, I mean, Chad, once you didn't say thanks to the bus driver and people caught it on camera, and so now people think that you're classist. And that reflects badly on me, so we are over. You may think that that's an extreme example, but like, that's the attitude that people have. And wait, because I know that people are going to be jumping to conclusions because people love to put like words in my mouth. In no point in any part of that relationship scenario that I gave was I on about defending abusive relationships, because I don't defend that stuff. And in fact, as I talked about again in this video here, I'm on about like actually supporting people that are in abusive relationships to be able to give them a network so they've got somewhere else to go to. So then they're not trapped in this toxic relationship, okay? You may say this is only applicable to celebrities and people with a platform, but truly this is seeped into everyday life, and you've probably experienced this sort of treatment yourself. Have you ever applied to go to higher education? Well, you know how they have all these personal statement things that you have to write in order to show that you really want to be there, you deserve to be there. So this can come in the form of a letter or an essay or, you know, an iconic video.
All those opposed to chafing, please say aye.
But as discussed in Doppelganger by Naomi Klein, some students refer to this exercise as packaging up your trauma into a consumable commodity, because people want to see hardship, but they don't want to see the marks of it. They want to know that you can suffer, but also have this wonderful Cinderella-esque smile on your face all the time. And actually, on the topic of Cinderella, she wasn't actually happy about her situation. She was incredibly angry about it, but the thing is that she didn't express that to anybody other than animals that could only understand her. Again, this links into perfect victimhood, but the thing is that people who have experienced trauma may not have been perfect people to begin with before they even went through the traumatic thing. And they may not even be perfect afterwards, because hey, trauma can really screw you up, alright? But we're so willing to judge the victim's demeanor, behavior, clothing, whether they use hugs or alcohol ever, more than we're willing to question the people who actually did the wrong thing. Recognizing that victims can be flawed people too is so critically important to actually allow more people to come forward to be able to break the cycle, whatever the cycle may be. Just because someone's personal brand isn't good enough, that doesn't entitle people to treat them like dirt. Customized, tailored, and perfect. No human interaction needed.
Please go.
Anya, the Shopkeepers Union of America called. They want me to tell you that please go just got replaced with have a nice day.
That I have their money. Who cares what kind of day they have?
It's almost like we've become so used to everything being centered around us as individual little consumers. Like pretty much everything that we deal with that isn't directly in real life dealing with other people is actually catered just to us. And if you don't like the service, you can always just go elsewhere because the customer is always right. And you can actually leave a really scathing review for that delivery driver. We've become accustomed to tailored ads, tailored feeds. We swipe or shut off people who we don't 100% agree with every word of, calling them a bad person for not being exactly what we want. We hate it when people have their annoying humanness not match our exact wishes, and some people are looking for a reason to find an ick. It's really concerning to me and has been worrying me for a while. Seeing how people and fans have actually reacted to Chappell Roan, who has been very open about the fact that they've got bipolar 2 disorder, and the fact that they've struggled with this sudden instant fame that they've got even though they've been working for many years. And yes, I was going to make an entire video on Chappell Roan, but the fact that you've got Khadijah and also D'Angelo making these amazing videos, like, I'm not going to go stepping on toes. I'll have their videos videos linked for you below instead. I really do see this situation as a symptom of the fact that we've gotten so used to filter bubbles, so used to people always having to be on and have this perfect facade in place, that people are just unwilling to actually recognize the fact that no, you're not always the center of attention, you're not always the customer, you are not always in the right. Human flaws are seen as wrong. People having a slightly different opinion to you is seen as them attacking you directly, when that is honestly not the case, and this is something which happens to me all the time. Celebrities can be grateful for their fans and also scared of the repercussions at the same time. The image held of celebrities is that you serve us, we put you up there, and we can tear you down if you don't meet us and meet our expectations. Never mind what those expectations are, nor what the person feels or wants. You can like someone and recognize that they've got flaws and issues. You have flaws and issues, you are not perfect yourself, I'm not perfect myself. I've never said that anyone should strive to be perfect. We can always strive to be better, but perfection, that's never going to be the case. Collectively, we have a real issue with permanent performance. No bad days, no downtime, no issues, or you're letting everyone else down. Simone broke this cycle, and as anyone who breaks a cycle knows, it doesn't happen without a fight. And call it a quote quitter. The expectation is to perform no matter what you've been through, endured, or your safety. You were just meant to push all of that down. I mean, the show must go on after all. You think that just because you've been through hard times that you get to have an excuse? No, you have to be an inspiration. You have to rise above it. And of course, a lot more of this actually falls on the shoulders of black women. To rise above, to be an example, to be able to take it.
People just like put you on these pedestals, and I'm just like begging to just be human.
People have always felt entitled to celebrities and expected them to behave in a certain manner, whether that's laughing off when people ask inappropriate questions.
Your breasts?
Or be on any time that they venture out in public and happy to see anyone who screams at them when they see them. Or heck, even feel privileged to be stalked. I know most of my audience are younger, so you may not know this, but Jodie Foster, when she was only 18, had this stalker who actually went and shot Reagan in order to get her attention. He was also just, turning up at all of her plays and being really incredibly creepy. It's a whole other video unto itself, actually, about stalkers, but don't know if I'd ever get monetized for that video. Because of this guy's entitlement, she quit theatre and actually had to have bodyguards go with her to attend her classes because, yes, she was still attending classes. But that's the price you pay. We like this, and we've decided that you should do what we want you to do. And the thing is that you're a woman, and every woman's personal brand has to also include being a people pleaser. And if you don't do exactly what we want, you're going to suffer the consequences. This even impacts children. Think of all the child stars who have been coming forward in recent years, actually talking about their pretty horrific experiences from being in the spotlight and the people that they've had to deal with, and just horrible stuff, honestly. A very recent example of someone that was told to build their personal brand is Jenna Ortega, who got Twitter at the age of 12, and do you know the first DM that they actually ever got? An unsolicited pic of an eggplant. And then when she was 14, all she kept seeing was manipulated images of her, but you have to have Twitter to be able to have your personal brand. Luckily, she's been able to delete Twitter now, because especially after the stardom that came after Wednesday, she doesn't have to rely on it now, but so many other people have to rely on it. You have to endure it. And it's just completely unacceptable to me. But people still hold on to this idea that if you're a celebrity or if you're online literally at all, then you are asking for people to do this. It's just the price. When men get harangued by fans, like Robert Pattinson absolutely was after the Twilight series came out, in 2009 he agreed to a date with his stalker and, quote, "I just complained about everything in my life and she never came back. People get bored of me in like 2 minutes." If a woman did this with her stalker, chances are that she'd actually be found buried, and also have all publications, people online, everyone saying, ooh, like she's so unladylike, and oh my god, what did she expect? She was asking for it. And similarly, I have an issue when it comes to how men are still getting sexualized so publicly these days because they're celebrities, so it's seen as totally fine. Yesterday, as of time of filming, Diet Prada actually shared this post all about Jeremy Allen White. It's seemingly totally fine to say all of this stuff and objectify him. I was looking at the comments to see if anybody felt the same way as me, and people were just saying like, oh, but he isn't even that hot though. How many times have we actually heard that used against us any time that people have been disgusting to us? And also, I've talked about it in this video here, the issues when it comes to that. Cast your mind back a little while ago and think about how people kept on calling Pedro Pascal daddy all the time, constantly. But the way that he was expected to play it off was to just accept it because, you know, his career was blowing up. This is such a good thing. You need to have the fans on your side. And I'm positive that his publicist would have told him to just go along with it. And so, you know what we do often when people are being gross towards us is we try to act really confused about it, ask questions, or take it very literally. Like the way that he was actually putting it forward was like this.
How does it feel, Hollywood calling you now newest dad?
I don't have no kids.
Pascal is my cool, slutty daddy. Yes. And then
I really like the deflection tactic that Kieran Culkin actually did in this interview as he saved Pedro Pascal from this conversation.
Are you a daddy?
I'm not a daddy. And I'm not gonna be a daddy.
I'm a daddy, nobody likes my daddy part.
Because when people call Pedro Pascal daddy or zaddy or whatever, that's actually done in a sexual connotation way and it did not make him feel comfortable. I know that a majority of my audience is women and that's why I'm bringing it up, and I have talked about this separately in this objectification video, because how is it a compliment when we do it to them, but it's harassment when they do it to us?
I feel like you didn't wear a bra just for me today.
Do you know what? I knew you were going to say this.
And I feel like you're not wearing panties today. I get that vibe. Am I right?
I am wearing panties.
You are?
Actually, yes.
And let's see them. What kind of panties?
The thing is, if public figures didn't accept this treatment gracefully and perhaps wittily brush it aside, they're called a jerk, ungrateful, a buzzkill. They can literally ruin their career if they don't play along. Do you remember how happy people were when Scarlett Johansson actually pointed out how uncomfortable she was, like in situations like this?
Since when did people start asking each other about in interviews about their underwear?
No, because it is such a skin tight. Here's why.
I'll leave it up to your imagination.
How is this really any different to Chappell Roan stating her boundaries? Is it because we have to feel uncomfortable and unlearn stuff? We unlearn stuff all the time on this channel. It's a positive thing. Yes, sure, sometimes it feels uncomfortable, but it's a good thing ultimately. I don't know how many times I have to say that people can change at any age, and like if you feel uncomfortable with stuff that you've done in the past, that doesn't mean you have to keep on doing that same stuff, you know? You can always be like, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to change. These days, we just expect people to know everything and behave in a polished manner 24/7. Again, I'm going to reference Naomi Klein's book, Doppelganger. She was teaching students and saying which friendships are rooted in love and which because of good branding collabs. What doesn't ever get said or shared because it's off-brand. Paraphrasing the book, working in media is where the fastest growing business models are media makers having direct sales relationships with their readers, listeners, and watchers on YouTube, Patreon, Substack, etc. They have no choice but to join the hustle. And in a sales relationship, the customer is always right, and the customer, as a rule, wants more of what they just received. Going back to Simone Biles, where she actually put a boundary in place and put her mental health first, at the cost of, quote, letting the country down. On a smaller scale, that happens to you too in the workplace. If you're sick or having a bad day, you're, quote, letting the team down. We've internalized this constant productivity and happy performance for others so much, it genuinely hurts us all in the long run. Nobody is 100% every day, and we shouldn't be expected to be. Companies have taught us to be this way, and it's been repackaged as this personal brand thing more over the years, to be on. And over time, we've actually come to expect that of everybody we ever see. We don't want to see the ugliness of mental health issues. We don't want to see the reality. We want to see the polished diamond afterwards. But as the documentary showed, the journey there was a grueling one. And even if she didn't actually go and compete and win all of those amazing medals and do so well, we should still have been okay with her just actually putting her humanity first, putting her health first. But again, that's not how we're trained. We need to unlearn this. Think about it, you like your celebrities staying the same unless they're Chris Pratt. But think about creators on TikTok, Instagram, or even here on YouTube. Like, people really like to have them fit in their little box all the time. Jessica Kabisi comes to mind for me, right? Because she's a really talented photographer. However, what people actually want to watch all the time is her reacting to America's Next Top Model photo shoot. And her other videos that she releases, unless they're about some viral topic, people do not watch them. So she's stuck in this constant cycle in order to be able to, afford to eat. And Tiffany Ferg actually also did this amazing video nearly 2 years ago now about like the issues about always having to be right and spot on, and actually pause the screen now if you want to read my comment on that video. And Jessie Gender actually spoke about in her latest video about how she and other marginalized folk are expected to stay in like this little box of things that they're allowed to create. And it turns out that the little box that they're actually meant to stay in is typically things that actually get them bullied more, having to sort of like relive their trauma, because you have to talk about how you're marginalized, how it affects you and affects other people, and constantly living in this place because the other stuff, whenever they try and step out of the box and do other things, they get called, manipulative or being insincere. People have multiple interests, but you have to stick to exactly what the people want for your brand. Just imagine how awful it is to constantly have to talk about stuff which also directly gets you bullied in order to make money to be able to eat. Ultimately, we're all affected by this because we do it to ourselves and we do it to each other. It's this like snake eating its tail sort of thing, because we know that we have to view ourselves from an outsider's perspective. Girls absolutely get taught this from a young age. They have to view their bodies the way that a guy would view them to make sure that they don't put themselves in danger. Again, I've talked about this separately. As much as people say that they want authenticity, they want people to be unpolished, they just want people to be themselves, you don't really, because you want to have the idealized version of them. You want the idea of that, but you don't actually want people to be fallible. You don't want to see people's humanness. You don't want to see people on a bad day. You don't want people to be putting themselves out on the internet, not faking everything. Like, I fake all the time. I'm in a lot of pain right now. I'm dealing with very painful tinnitus, but you can't tell because I have to act like I'm not, because no one would want to watch me otherwise. In my opinion, this sort of panopticon has created this fake nice authenticity. Makes me think of like a hospitality worker or a customer service worker in the USA, right? Because they're always known to be like so nice, so accommodating, but that's also because they have to do that out of fear, because otherwise they won't be able to earn enough to live. It's this constant sense of fear which motivates it, as opposed to them actually wanting to be that way, wanting to, you know, whatever. And I worked in retail for 5 years, and having to wear that mask all the time is exhausting. And it's not just neurodivergent people that mask, all of us mask. You're trying to tell me that you don't behave a little bit differently at work, but also because I've got a small platform, it means that people feel entitled to critique the way that I am, to critique the way that I talk. Like, I say actually or like too much, and it's annoying to people. And so they feel like they can critique that, give me feedback, so then they can shape who I am, as opposed to like me being authentically myself, coming from a point of hate and being like, ah, gotcha, haha, you're not a good person after all, I knew it. And like, there's this weird gotcha thing, there's this weird like wanting people to be bad so that you can hate on them, and that's such a strange thing to me. I really do not understand why people want that. I've been trying to look into it whilst researching this video, and I couldn't find why it is people want others, even with a small platform, even people in their real life. They just want other people to be bad. Is this just because you want to build yourself up and feel superior? I don't get it. Anyway, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, what are your thoughts on this situation? Have you ever actually had to go to a personal brand seminar at your workplace? Have you watched personal brand how-tos? Have you ever actually Googled images of personal brand and then been like, oh, their meme game is weak? Because I have. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave the speech bubble emoji, because I think a lot can actually be resolved by people just having conversations and realizing that we all have different lived experiences, and that is a good thing, and that people can learn, change, grow at any age, because I think that that is definitely a healthier way forward. My gosh. And be sure to subscribe and come back next time, because I know it's turning into autumn for most of you, and so you know what that means. Yes, I'm doing my Gilmore Girls video because my patrons actually voted for that as well. I just got inspired to talk about this, so that's why we're here now. Thanks again to Aura for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check out my link, aura.com/BryonyClaire, in order to get your 14-day free trial. It's in the pinned comment down below and at the top of the description box. And a special thanks to my patrons for continuing to support me and help shape the videos that I make, especially to my Trash Panda enablers: Birgit, Brian Homstad, Carrie Quake, Laura, Mila Gautier, Stella Sapiente, Tammy Poitras, Tim Long, Tonya Banyay, TrailMix305, and Violet. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye! But Bryony, you ask, why is your dress ironed? I thought that you'd never iron. Please put some thanks in the chat for the fact that Brandon actually kindly ironed my dress today so I could look nice for you, because I don't like ironing, and I'm not afraid to admit it.